God bless you, loved ones. Welcome to the Word with Chester. I do thank God for all of you, and I appreciate you for logging on to listen to this ministry. I want you to know that I love the Lord with all my heart, and I'm doing all that I can to do what He has me doing. Well, for those of you that may be a little confused, right now I'm teaching through the Bible. This is the Word with Chester Ministry, where I teach through the Bible, verse by verse and chapter by chapter. We started this ministry in April of 2011, and God has blessed us to go all the way through the New Testament, and now well on our way in the Old Testament, so we're moving right along. But also, I am the pastor of the Professional Truckers Association. I want you to know that that church is thriving as well, and I ask that you understand the difference, because I broadcast them all on the World Wide Web. I also broadcast via the set time on the telephone and radio times that this entity, the Professional Truckers Association, reaches. So I want you to know there is a difference when I stand before you as pastor of the Professional Truckers Association, or stand before you just teaching through the Bible verse by verse and chapter by chapter. Both sides, both entities are important to me. I'm asking that you pray for us, that God will get the glory out of all that we do. We're doing all that we can to supply a forum for the truck drivers to meet, or anyone else as far as that goes, that would love to hear the Word of God on the basis that we present. Because truck drivers are not very seldom get by their houses. They don't have time to have their membership at a local body, or if they do, they can only visit frequently. So I am supplying a forum through the Professional Truckers Association to reach all of those, or to get them the gospel so they can hear word and unify together as believers. I want you to know I believe that's a God-ordained thing. Also, the Word with Chester Ministries, teaching through the Bible, that is also God ordained. It's all me preaching and teaching, and we broadcast it on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and Google, and LinkedIn, all the places on the World Wide Web. They hear me on both entities. But you will know when I say the Word with Chester Ministry, I'm teaching through the Bible. When I say the Professional Truckers Association, I'm standing to preach a message as pastor of the Professional Truckers Association Church. Well, today we'll begin our reading, and I'm going to try to read hurriedly. Possibly we'll get through this whole chapter. If not, I will have to cut it in two. We'll see how things go. In verse 1 of chapter 27, the book of Numbers, the Bible reads, "Then came the daughters of Zelophehad, the son of Hefer, the son of Gilead, the son of Machir, the son of Manasseh, of the families of Manasseh, the son of Joseph." And these are the names of his daughters, Melah, and Noah, and Hoglah, and Milcah, and Tizah. Well, all of these are his daughters. You have to understand they had a specific reason for coming to talk to Moses, and we'll talk about that in just a few moments. In verse 2, "And they stood before Moses and before Eleazar the priest, and before the princes of all the congregation by the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, saying, Our fathers died in the wilderness, and he was not of the company of them that gathered themselves together against the Lord in the company of Korah, but died in his own sin and had no sons." Well, can you understand why they come to Moses? We'll talk about their inheritance in a few minutes, but they came to Moses because their fathers had died in the wilderness. And you have to understand, all of those that left Egypt and that left Egypt were now deceased, except for Moses as of now, and then Joshua and Caleb, all of the rest that died in their travels. So they brought it to the attention of Moses that our fathers, they died in travel, and they didn't have no sons. Well, what they want is a portion of the inheritance. They wanted their families to be represented and get of the inheritance that was promised. Well, let's read verse 4. "Why should the name of our fathers be done away from among his families? Because he hath no sons. Give unto us therefore a possession among the brethren of our fathers. In other words, they're saying that our tribe, our fathers should be represented too. Yes, our fathers died in the wilderness, but yet we are here. And they were a family, a proud families of themselves. So these daughters got together and came to Moses and just let him know, we want a part of that possession. Our father's name should not be erased completely. Our father's name should have an inheritance, even though there's not a man to receive that inheritance. Well, you got to understand, some people, they have more daughters than they do sons, and this was the case of this tribe. More daughters were being born than sons in this case. Now verse 5, and Moses brought their cause before the Lord, and the Lord spoke unto Moses, saying, can you understand? Well, Moses got his from God, and you got to give Moses his props. He talked to the Lord, and the Lord gave him what to do. And the Lord spoke unto Moses, saying, the daughters of Zelophehad speak right. Thou shalt surely give them a possession of the inheritance among their fathers' brethren, and thou shalt cause the inheritance of their fathers to pass unto them. In other words, they got an inheritance. Why? Because of their fathers. You got to understand the predominance of the male gender in days of old, and the male genders were mentioned, the male genders received. Well, here it was rightful because there was no male to receive, that these ladies would speak up so that they could receive for their families. Now let's read in verse 8. And thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel, saying, if a man die and have no son, and ye shall cause his inheritance to pass unto his daughters. If no man child was there to receive it, it would pass to his daughters. Now let's read 9. And if he have no daughters, then ye shall give his inheritance unto his brethren. And if he have no brethren, then ye shall give his inheritance unto his father's brethren. Can you see? Laying out a foundation for their inheritance. If there's no sons, it would pass. If there were no daughters, it had some place to go. Can you understand the succession of what God is doing here? In verse 11, and if his father have no brethren, then ye shall give his inheritance unto his kinsman. Well, can you understand that? To his kinsman. He was related to all of the children of Israel. And he shall possess it, and it shall be unto the children of Israel a statute of judgment, as the Lord commanded Moses. Can you see here? We're getting law. Numbers is a book of law. Now shall we read on? In verse 12, and the Lord said unto Moses, get thee up into Mount Abraham, and see the land which I have given unto the children of Israel. Here we're nearing the death of Moses, and Moses had led them all of this way, and God is preparing him because you got to understand, when you really love the Lord, you just accept his will. If it's time for you to die, well, you just say, yes, Lord. And after all that Moses had been through, I imagine he was tired. He was up in age, number one, and number two, all that the children of Israel had put him through. Well, sometimes you welcome death when you went through so many things and have went through all of this time, and sometimes your body just gets tired. So I imagine Moses welcomed death. I'll read 12 again. And the Lord said unto Moses, get thee up unto Mount Abiram, and see the land which I have given unto the children of Israel. So Moses got to go up and see all the land that was given to the children of Israel. Well, God gave him the law for their inheritance, what they would receive and how they would receive it, but yet he did not get to go in himself, but he saw all of the land that they were supposed to receive. Now verse 13, and when thou hast seen it, thou also shalt be gathered unto thy people, as Aaron thy brother was gathered. In so many words, he's letting him know it's time for you to die. And for ye rebelled against my commandments in the desert of Zin, in the strife of the congregation, to sanctify me in the waters before their eyes. That is the water of Meribah in Kadesh, in the wilderness of Zin. If you remember with me, if you were with me at that time, we talked about that. And that caused Moses not to be able to go into the promised land, but he did get to see it. Now let's read on in verse 15. And Moses spoke unto the Lord, saying, let the Lord, the God of the Spirit of all flesh, set a man over the congregation. Can you understand? Moses, knowing he's getting ready to die and go off the scene. So the Lord's letting him know we have to set someone else over the congregation. In verse 17, who may go out before them, and who may go in before them, and who may lead them out, and who may bring them in, that the congregation of the Lord be not as sheep that have no shepherd. Can you understand? He's getting ready to bring up a successor now. Now verse 18, and the Lord said unto Moses, take thee Joshua, the son of Nun, man in whom is my spirit, and lay thine hand upon him. Can you see he instructed Moses to lay his hand upon Joshua, and set him before Eleazar the priest, and before all the congregation, and give him a charge in their sight. Well, while they're listening, give him a charge, and thou shalt put some of thine honor upon him. Thou shalt put some of thine honor upon him, that all the congregation of the children of Israel may be obedient. Verse 21, and ye shall stand before Eleazar the priest, who shall ask counsel for him after the judgment of Urim before the Lord. At his word shall they go out, and at his word shall they come in, both he and all the children of Israel with him, even all the congregation. Can you see? God was preparing Joshua and having Moses to prepare Joshua. You have to understand the importance of what Moses had to do for Joshua, for him to be able to receive that great charge, so that that honor, the people would honor him when he stepped up, or when he said let's go, or when he said stop, that the people would honor him and be subject to him as their leader. Shall we read verse 22? And Moses did as the Lord commanded him, and he took Joshua and set him before Eleazar the priest and before all the congregation. In verse 23, and he laid his hand upon him and gave him a charge as the Lord commanded by the hand of Moses. Well, can you understand? God is preparing another leader to be able to take this great people on. Well, God always has a plan, and it's up to you and I to just say yes to his will. When we do, everything will work out all right. I want you to know that I love you, my friends. I love you with the love of the Lord. If you would like to contact me for any reason, you can write me at the Word with Chester Ministries, Post Office Box 200603, San Antonio, Texas 78220. You can also reach me at my website, www.poemsbychester.com. Remember, I love you, my friends. I love you with the love of the Lord. God bless you.